project where we are going to learn SolidWorks and the keychain fob project. The objectives for our project are how to use SolidWorks, how to make a sketch in 3D, how to extrude that sketch into 3D, how to make a sketch in 2D, how to extrude that sketch into 3D, how to create your own keychain fob with your name on it. So that's going to be the objectives of this movie, and later we're going to print it on a 3D printer in ABS plastic for you to take home. Alright, so first of all, to run the SolidWorks program, it might be an icon on your desktop, it might be a program that is pinned down to the bottom of your taskbar. You might also have to go to All Programs and find SolidWorks, whatever edition that we're working with, and SolidWorks, in this case, SolidWorks 2014 X64 edition. That takes a few seconds to get up and going. Then we can start creating a new file. So we go to File, New, and we'll make a new part. An assembly is an assembly of various parts, and a drawing is simply a paper drawing of those parts or assemblies. So you always have to start out with a part. On the screen of SolidWorks we come to this, a place where there can be a front plane, and we are the drawing area over here, the top plane or the right plane. The origin is the place where X, Y, and Z come together and are 0. So let's start with the front plane. We're going to create a new sketch on that front plane. So we right click on the front plane and we see options down there at the bottom, but up above we'll go to Sketch. That is making a new sketch. On this new sketch we can use lots of 2D tools. It's a 2D sketch that we're creating. So the things that we can create are lines, rectangles, slots, circles, arcs, polygons, splines, ellipses, sketches or fillets, text, points, or even sketch a picture. There are other features and different things across there, but we're going to stay just within the bounds of sketch. So the first thing we'll do to make this keychain fob is a center rectangle. To have it start from the center, the origin, the world origin, we'll go there. Those arrows represent X and Y and represent where the world origin is, where X and Y are 0. We'll click on that. We'll come out a ways. It doesn't make a difference how far you go because we're going to dimension that in a bit. So we'll click, and now we're ready to dimension that. We'll go up to Smart Dimensions. We'll just click once there. We can dimension it from point to point or simply dimension this long line. We'll click once and just move on up to move the dimension up and away from you a little bit. And we'll go ahead and put in 3. Notice that we're in units and that it's in decimal units right now, which is fine. We're just going to go with 3 inches. And OK, hit enter or click on the green arrow. Now we'll go ahead and make this 1 inch. And hit enter, and that just confined this project to 3 by 1, and it's a simple rectangle. Well, we'll take that sketch and we'll now get out of it. Now to get out of the sketch we don't hit the red X. That gets out of it without doing anything, without leaving anything. It's as if we just want to say oops. No, we want to get out of the sketch here with that icon to say yes, we're done with that sketch so far. Notice now we have a list of something, there's something new in our list over here, and that's sketch 1. I'm going to click away from that sketch and just simply say, okay, now we're going to try to go to Features and try to make a boss extrude, or in other words, make this into 3D, extrude it into 3D. It's asking us to select a plane since I was off that sketch. So in this list of the tree, in other words, it's the organizational tree here, we have to open it up by clicking on the plus and come down to that sketch so it knows we're talking about that sketch. And lo and behold, now we can actually extrude that. We can extrude it in different directions. We'll go to a certain dimension. We'll go to 1/8 of an inch. When you hit 1/8 and you hit enter, it changes it into decimal 0.125. And we'll say that we're done with that by clicking again on the green arrow. That is now 1/8 of an inch thick, 3 inches this way, 1 inch that way. Oh, but we forgot something. We would like to round these corners, and we would like to put in a circle right here, right about right there. We'd like to put in a hole for our keychain. So that's a problem. There's lots of ways we can do that. One way would be to go back and edit the sketch. By the way, a couple of things about moving. Zooming in means pull the middle mouse button towards you, the scroll mouse button towards you. To push it away, push the scroll mouse button away from you, and that's zooming in and out. To rotate the project is take the middle mouse button and just simply move left and right or up and down. And so that's how you rotate the project. After you get Now we'd like to go back and we'd like to go edit this sketch. Well, notice Boss Extrude has a plus next to it. To the left of that there is a little plus there. We'll click on that. We'll go down to the sketch and we'd like to edit that sketch. I clicked once and I'll go up there to edit sketch. Now we're actually in the sketch again and we're editing it. We're upside down, so we'll have to move around. And there's a way to say let's have it go flat straight towards us, and that would be right click on the sketch. That button there goes a normal to, and it turns around exactly the same way as we started. Now we'd like to make these corners rounded, let's say by 3/16 of an inch rounding radius around these four corners. Well, there's a 2D method to that, and that is right here, sketch a fillet. Before we start picking things to make round, let's look at the parameters, the qualities. Let's make sure it's 3/16 of an inch, 3/16, hit enter, it becomes 0.1875. And now let's pick things to fillet. So we're looking there, that has the input focus. The blue area here is always what's being asked of you to click on or to enter in. And we'll just simply either pick two lines or simply a vertex, a point. And now that's entered in. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 vertices entered into that. And we'll go ahead and say that we're done. The green OK or the green OK button over there. We've rounded it. It's done. Now just to prove that it is actually done, even though it doesn't look like it's done, that's the sketch as of now. But we haven't told it to say that we're finished with the sketch. So we'll get out of the fillet again and we'll get out of the sketch. That button, remember, not this one. Now it fixes the sketch to reflect what we had just done. But oops, we forgot the hole, the circle that we'd like to put in to make a hole in this corner. So we'll go back to the sketch, and that's either a right click or just a single click and say we wish to edit the sketch again. We'll make it normal to us, and we'll put a circle right here at the center of this radius. So we'll go to the circle tool, just the plain circle tool. We'll start the middle right there where the center of the radius is, and we'll just pick a point and we'll smart dimension that, and we'll make it about 3/16 of an inch. This might be too big. We'll find out once we print one, and we might adapt this. But we'll go in 3/16. Notice that that's a diameter, not the radius, so it's half as big as the arc was, because that's the diameter of this arc. 3/16 was the radius of this arc. That's the diameter of the circle, I should say. So we're done with that. We're going to get out of the dimension, and we're going to get out of the sketch. And lo and behold, our project now has a hole in it because that was part of the sketch. Now we'd like to put some words on this. Actually, before we do the words, let's go ahead and round these corners. These edges are practically knife edges. It'll cut us as it's sitting in our pocket, so we ought to try to make this a little bit more friendly. Let's round this in the 3D world. So at the level of the boss extrude, we'll stay there and let's look at some 3D tools we can do. One of them is to create a 3D fillet. In other words, round the edges. The other options there is a chamfer. In other words, a slice off at an angle. But let's do a fillet. Before we start doing that, let's not do the whole thing. Let's delete that. Let's tell it that the radius that we want to do is going to be half the thickness of this, because we can't do more than half this thickness. It was 1/8. So half of 1/8 is 1/16. So we'll put in 1/16 for the fillet parameters. We'll hit enter. And now we'll start picking things to fillet. So notice tangent propagation is on, which means it tries to find things that are tangent to this project. In other words, anything that is tangent would be like a circle, just barely touching that in other lines. So if I click once on that, we get the entire front edge. If I twist it around, we'll go to the back side. It's kind of hard sometimes to see, but now we're on the back side, and we'll add this other edge, and it found it. So we have two edges, and it's not done yet until we click on the green OK. And there we have it. Now we're ready to put in some text.